Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we would do a R Fantasy bingo challenge TBR. It is extremely windy outside, so I do apologize if you can hear that, but there's not a whole lot I can do about it. As for R Fantasy bingo, it's a challenge that runs every year from April until March. Don't ask me why it comes out like that. It just does, and I participated 2 or 3 years now, and last year was the year I finally got a blackout. Now you can do the bingo board in different ways. So there's just the regular bingo board, you just read the prompts. Then they do have a hard mode that makes all the prompts harder, obviously. And then there is a hero mode where you review every single book you read somewhere online. And I don't think you have to do hard mode to be a hero. So you can do the normal mode and just review everything you read. Now there are a couple of rules, like there are no repeat authors and you are only allowed one reread, and you can also swap out one bingo prompt for a previous bingo prompt. So if there's one thing that you are like, this just isn't for me, then you can swap it out. I usually swap out the short stories because I just don't like short stories. And I have tried short stories in challenges like this, where you need to read a number of short stories, and it's just not for me. So usually I use my swap for that, and I have done this year too. Let's see. Yeah, otherwise it's a 5x5 bingo, and the prompts change every year, but there are some that are always there. So for example, I think an author of color published in the current year, the book club read along, and anything else? I can't remember, but there are a few that come back every year, and otherwise they change. So this year I thought the prompts were pretty good. Some of them were a bit hard and some of them were not a bit of me, but I only have one swap, so I have to, like, middle grade is just not my thing either, but I'd rather read middle grade than short stories, so here we are. But anyway, you'll see as I get along in the video what I pick for the books, the prompts, but basically I made my TBR based on vibes. And by that I mean I just went on Storygraph and found someone who had put all the prompts in and had a lot of people join, and those people had recommended stuff for all the prompts. So I just scrolled through and looked to see if there was anything I wanted to read, and usually there was. And a lot of it is something that I have, just heard about or haven't even heard about, and I just liked the cover or the title or the author. So this is very much not researched very well. But I do think most of them will be interesting. And I usually also, I don't stick to the TBR like completely. So if I happen to read something else that will fit, I will just as happily use that and then just forget about the original TBR. But I do enjoy having something to go off of. So let's see. Should we just get into it? Yeah, so the first prompt in the R Fantasy 2026 is a trans non-binary protagonist. And I picked What Stalks the Deep by T. Kingfisher because I have read the other 2 books in this series and really enjoyed it, and the protagonist is on page non-binary, so that counts. Then the next is Judge a Book by its title, and that is basically just you judge a book by its title. So anything that sounds interesting to you. And I have picked Long Live Evil. And I haven't written down the authors, so I probably should have done that. But, I know what I mean. But if I don't mention the author, I do apologize. I think most of them are obvious. Or not obvious, but like if you Google the title, there's only one book called that. So it should be easy to find if for some reason you would like to read that too. Long Live Evil. I heard a few things about it when it first came out, but I think the title is just really fun. Then there's a translated book. I think this is one of the prompts that are always here. And I picked A Hero Born by Jin. I don't know. I can't remember, but I saw Gavin from Gavin Reads It All read this last year, I think, and he really enjoyed it. And as far as I know, it's a Chinese-inspired fantasy with like epic fantasy-esque. So that should be interesting. Then there's another of the prompts that I always struggle with, and I think this one is also one of the repeats. So it's a small press or self-published book. And I usually struggle with that because I get my books from the library. And when it's like a small press or a self-published book, it's just not as as often that my library has the book. So, but I put down The Poet Empress. Again, I saw Gavin Reads It All read it and enjoy it, and I've heard a couple of others say good things about it too. Then there's Unusual Transportation, and I put down Project Hail Mary. I'm not sure what the unusual transportation entails in that other than the spaceship. And the prompt is very specific about it has to be unusual transportation in the world that we are in. And I feel like a spaceship is not that unusual in a science fiction. But if it's like based on us, then not a lot of people go on a spaceship. So I don't know. But there might be some other unusual transportation in the book. I just don't know yet. Then we have The Afterlife, and I picked The Ghost Bride. This has been on my TBR for many a year, and I have just never gotten around to reading it. So why not try again? Then there's Game Changer, and that is a there's a game or a competition in it. And I picked The Raven Scholar because I heard a lot of people saying good things about it. So I figured I would give it a go. And then we have A Vacation Spot. So basically a spot you would like to vacation in. So I'm guessing most people are going to pick some sort of cozy fantasy or sci-fi rather than epic fantasy with a lot of fighting and death and stuff. But anyway, I have picked Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter because I did enjoy Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, more so the first book than like the first and the second. I think the third was But yeah. So again, like I said, this is based on vibes or because I know the author or not a lot of actual research has been done. Then it's the 5 short story prompts, but I changed it for the last in a series from last year. And I put down Human Rights by Juno Dawson because I am reading that series, so it would be a good incentive to finish that. Then we have an older protagonist, and I picked The Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Chakraborty. It's the second one in the Amina Al-Sirafi series. And she is like a retired pirate that has to come back out in order to do one last job. Then this year they did something new because, like I said, there are usually no author repeats. But this year they picked a duology, book 1 and book 2, for 2 different prompts, and you can read the same duology, basically. So I picked The Night Ends with Fire because I needed for Herkiat for fire prompt. And I have it home from the library right now, so why not? Then it's time for the book club read-along book. And that I picked The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love because I have, again, heard people talking good about it. And I have to say a lot of the other books I hadn't read and wasn't really interested in. And a lot of the books that I had read were like mediocre for me. So I'm not sure that the book club hosts and I share the same reading taste. But anyway, I'll give this one a go. And then there's published in 2026, and Victorious by V.E. Schwab is apparently coming out. Like, she wrote Vicious and Villains years and years ago, and I thought that was the end of that series, but apparently we are getting a third one, so I am most interested to read that. Then we have Explorers and Rangers, and I had a little bit of trouble with that one, but then there was The Empire of Shadow. And again, I heard people talking good about this, and it is, as far as I remember, an archaeologist going to explore an ancient empire. So then there's the second book in the duology, and the one I picked is The Dragon Wakes with Thunder. You don't have to read the same duology, so if you didn't like the first one, you can just read another book too, in case you're already reading something else. Then a one-word title, I picked Sunbringer because I read God Killer last year, so I want to continue. Then for a non-human protagonist, I did pick Platform Decay by Martha Wells because that is the Murderbot series, and I absolutely love that series. Then for middle grade, I used my one reread that we allowed to put down Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. I really enjoyed that, and it's time for a reread, so I can get around the middle grade prompt like this. Then we have First Contact, and I picked We Are Legion, We Are Bob, because I just heard G from Book Roast talk about it and say that it is super underrated, so that should be good. Then there's a murder mystery, and I picked The Mimicking of Known Successes because I think like way back I heard Jean from Jean's Thoughts talk about it and really enjoy it, and I do love a murder mystery. Then we had a Cat Squasher, which just means it's plus 500 pages, and I picked a Jasmine Throne because I do own it and it is on my April TBR, so that could be a good reason to get started. Then there's Feast Your Eyes on This. That's basically where food plays an important part in the story. And I picked the Kamogawa Food Detectives because there was food in the title. Then we have Published in the 70s, and I did struggle a little bit with this one, but I picked The Forgotten Beasts of Eld, basically based on the title. So then we have Politics and Court Intrigue, and I picked The Will of the Many. I think a year ago I started it and then just never got around to it because it had to go back to the library, so I never got around to finishing it, so now is the time. And then finally we have Author of Color, and I picked Heaven Official's Blessing number 2 because I read number 1 last year, the year before, and really enjoyed it, so I do want to continue and finish that series, but there are like 8 books in it, and I think maybe continuing, so I guess we'll see, but I should be able to at least get the second one down. And that is my TBR for our fantasy bingo 2026. Now I did last year, I wrote down what I planned to read, and then on the next page here I will put down what I actually read, and we will see how it compares.